Hi, welcome to Nina in the Kitchen, where today we are making polenta 3 different ways, and one of them you've probably never seen. It's pretty cool. So first let me talk about polenta in general. Polenta is cornmeal. It's used primarily in the northern part of Italy. The way the southern part uses pasta, the northern part would use polenta. Any sauce, gravy, stew, there are probably countless dishes that you can use polenta for. And here's what polenta is. It's a cornmeal. Now this one is a stone ground meal, and I have both white and yellow polenta in here. And this is truly stone ground, and it might be hard for you to find. So the other option is to go with a commercial cornmeal. This one is a coarse grind, and this is a fine grind. I actually had to go to 2 different places in the supermarket. One was on the cereal aisle, and the other one was in the baking section, I guess for cornbread. The easiest way to make polenta is to mix your coarse and fine grind, and that's how you get the most authentic kind of polenta. And I do things a little differently. You've heard me say that before. I start with cold water, and instead of waiting for the water to boil and then slowly stirring this in, I start cold and I dump it all in. And you will never have lumps if you do that, I promise. So that was 1 cup of coarse cornmeal, which is 186 grams, and 1 cup of fine cornmeal, 174 grams. That went into 8 cups or 2 quarts, 2 liters of water. And to that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of, this is a kosher salt, 1 tablespoon of salt. You bring this up to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and you just stir it and cook it until it's done. And if you're using these commercial cornmeals, it doesn't take very long at all. For the first 4 minutes, I was constantly stirring this, and I started at high, started turning the heat down. Now I'm about 4 minutes into it, and this is what it looks like, and my heat is down to a medium low. And at this point, you can just stir it on occasion. You see it wants to pop like hot lava. Don't let it get to that point where it bursts. Just let this sit just like this. Stir about once a minute, and this will take another 4 to 5 minutes from here, with a total of 9 minutes cooking time. Make sure you scrape the bottom of the pot. You don't want all of this cornmeal sticking to it. And this is your polenta. This one took me about 9 minutes to make. If you make the stone ground, it's going to take longer. And to finish it, I have 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. That goes in, along with 3/4 of a cup of Parmigiano Reggiano. That goes in. Now, polenta can be made with chicken stock. You can add cream or milk to it at the end. There's a lot of variables, but this is how you would serve it under, say, a stew, ossobuco or something like that. And that's it. There's your polenta. You can also make this ahead and put it over a pot of simmering water, and then you can just keep it like that for a few hours. So this is polenta number 1. You can eat it like a porridge. You can just put a little butter and cheese on it, and you can put mushrooms over it, all sorts of things, any ragu that you have. Polenta number 1. For the second polenta, all I have is a sheet pan. You can get as big a sheet pan as you like. I put a little olive oil on here, and I'm putting some parchment paper down just to make sure that this will come out of the pan. You just pour this in as thick as you like. You can use as big a pan as you like, and this is typically done with leftover polenta, but we like it in little cakes like this, so this is a lot of times our first option. And you let this cool. You can cool it in your refrigerator, so this is a do-ahead. It's so versatile. You can grill this. It's great as a side dish for any protein. So you can throw it on the grill with a piece of fish or meat or whatever you have, and you can also bake it. which is nice. So just roast it with some meat and you have a nice little side dish that way. What I'm going to do now is show you how to fry it. You don't want to put this directly into a fry pan because there is a high water content and it will spatter everywhere. So what I do is you take something and just make sure it's going to come off the bottom. And if you remember, we had a little parchment paper on the bottom of this. So I'm just going to flip this out. Here's my parchment. And here's the polenta. I just cut this into pieces, whatever size you want. I'm just going to do these little fingers, I think. And put those in flour. Just roll it in flour. Shake off the excess dust. And then just put that right into a fry pan. This is the last one coming out. So this was just pan fried, very shallow oil, and over a medium to medium high heat. And it takes a few minutes on each side. What you get is this crispy outside and a creamy center, and it's really spectacular. And I'm going to get the third one from the oven, and I'll show you what happened with that. This polenta, the third polenta, is very interesting. It's very different. What you do is put some polenta onto a silicone mat, or you can also use a parchment paper for this. But you want to line the bottom of a baking sheet, and this is where an offset spatula really comes in handy. But you can use a spoon or a silicone spatula, whatever you have, and you just spread this into a thin layer. This doesn't have to be even, but you do want it to be very thin. This goes into a 200-degree oven that's 93 Celsius for 1 hour. Wait till you see what happens. This is what was in the oven. This is the one that we spread out. The thinner you spread this out, the more lacy this becomes. So the one that I did here today was actually a little thick, but it comes out like this piece of leather, sort of like a fruit roll-up, only it's cornmeal. But it's really cool stuff. Because it already has the butter and the Parmesan cheese in it, what I like to do is serve this. You can just put this in a water goblet like this as a very unusual appetizer, and with a glass of wine. Here you have your cheese and a glass of wine. Just a fun way to eat cornmeal. Really fun. I love this. And then here we have these really crispy bites. Crispy outside, crunchy, with a creamy center. And then of course, the classic polenta that's soft, that you put things on top of. And that's it. That's the polenta show. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you come back for more stuff. Bye guys.